More money, you got less problems. At least minor ones, all your basics accounted for. Team elite I run with, I'm guaranteed to be Final Four. Less money, you got more problems. More money, you got less problems. At least
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I be using a Zoom all of the time, man. We do our birthday parties, we do everything on Zoom. So I done became a Zoom wizard. So I had all your questions and everything on the computer right here. So I'm just
man.
like, I don't know what just happened.
I hope
That's
I
okay.
didn't throw you off. Yeah.
Nah, listen, man. Listen, the best thing that ever could have happened is to be natural and to be authentic.
Right.
So this is how it was destined to be right here. So I ain't even worried about that right there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is my first interview for this new organization that we're starting for Albany, and it's called BACK, Bringing Albany Communities Knowledge. And the first person, or our first guest interview that we're going to be doing is brother Jason Coleman. And I'll tell you why I reached out to him first before we even go into his story. One, the whole premise behind doing BACK is really because, you know, I'm always in and out of Albany. I love Albany, and it's just like, it's too much negativity that's going on right now. And it's like, a lot of times people think that that's the norm, and it's not the norm. It's become the norm, but it doesn't have to be the norm. It's like, I know a lot of good people from Albany that have produced some great things for themselves and for others. And it was kind of like, you know, how do we get back to that atmosphere? How do we get back to that type of environment instead of it being like, you know what I mean, it's a new shooting every other day. And I thought about it. I had just thought about a year ago. And it's crazy because I was talking to, I kicked the idea to DJ about a year ago, because I'm just like, man, listen, I'm down here in Maryland now, brother. I'm like, it might be better to have boots on the ground. So have someone who's directly in Albany to go ahead and kick this initiative off. Because one, I know it's going to be powerful because I understand the power of words. And it's just like, you know what, when you get a chance to see other individuals who look like you turn out to become something that you didn't even think was possible, you'd be like, oh, okay, you know what, you turn on that light bulb, you know what I mean? So I thought about it and was just like, listen, you know, since we were younger, it was like, I think I might have first met you. I think you might have been a year or two ahead of me, maybe a year or two ahead of me, something like that. But it was just like, you always had a presence about you. And it was just like, I love seeing what you are doing with your family. I love seeing that the fact that I was talking to Jamar Ballard the other day, and I'm just like, listen, to be honest, I'm like, listen, man, the only thing you got to do to be able to survive what we survived in Albany and to be healthy, you know what I mean? You are credible enough, and you are a success story. And
appreciate
you know what I mean?
that,
You know what I mean? And that's the goal, because I was talking to him. He's just like, yeah, you know, so listen, man, here's the thing. If you can survive Albany and then go out and do something productive wherever you're at, you know what I mean? You're the person I want to talk to. I want to talk to the people who've been able to do that. I want to talk to the people who are still in Albany doing that. And I want to talk to the people who got ideas about it. Because some people don't know what it looks like. Some people think that the shooting, the drugs, the hanging around every day, they think that that's the everything, and it's not. And I really want to get them back connected to other people. And you were the first person, even a year ago, that I said that, you know what, the first person I want to do, if I ever do that, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to reach out to JC. And I'll tell you just one thing is, like, where I'm at right now is I trust in wherever God leads me. And if I had this idea a year ago and it just came up right now, it was destined, and it was time for it to be done exactly this way. It wasn't meant for me to give it to somebody else to do it. It was like, well, listen, you got connections with these different people. Let's try to bring them all together. And that's what we're going to be doing, man. So first and foremost, thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking
Appreciate you having me, brother. I appreciate you having me, definitely. And salute to you and everything that you're doing with your family, man. Even this idea, man, it's a great idea, man. I love the fact that you're all the way in Maryland, but you still feel compelled to do something for your hometown, Albany. So, you know, I definitely salute you on that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Well, listen, man, let's get to it, because, you know, it's too funny because I put my kids down at 8:30, so I'm just like, listen, man, how do I sneak out of here without them coming downstairs? I'm just like, you know, I mean, my wife just had to take them all the way to the back, so that way they don't try to come down here.
Ditto. My wife holding it down right now. She holding it down for me.
Listen, before I'm gonna give you a first question before I get into the questions.
Yep.
One, how have you and your family been doing during quarantine, and how has this whole pandemic changed or enlightened you and your family through this process?
Man, we try and stay optimistic around here. We really try and just enjoy the family time. Prior to that, I was working a lot. You know what I'm saying? I was on the road. I got my boss who's in Germany. I got bosses here in the US and, in different states. So I was traveling a lot. And, I found myself missing out on a lot of time with my kids, time with my wife, because I'm traveling for work. So we looking at this as a blessing in disguise, man. Because we home together, we cuddle together, we chilling, we doing our thing. So, I'm really looking at it as a blessing in disguise, beyond anything. It's still a lot going on in the world, and, everybody probably can't say the same thing that I'm saying right now, but, I love the fact that I'm home with my wife and my kids. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, listen, that's a blessing, brother.
Right.
If you ask for anything other than that, listen, you asking for too much.
Word.
You know what I mean? You'd be like, yo, just to be able to change it up. And it was just like, my pastor said it one day. He says, listen, you really gonna, he said, I really feel sorry for the couples, the married couples during this time period. He was like, he said, imagine having to be stuck in the house with not just the kids, but with your spouse all of this time. So it'll bring out like, you can either choose to be. I got some friends who is just like overwhelmed just by being indoors. We've chose to stay creative this entire time. Like, we let the kids go out, go ride their bikes. We go sit in the backyard, go let them play in the pool, go play on the playground. And it's like, man, try to keep as safe as possible. So, I appreciate the energy, because that's how it has to be. It's like, like you said, what you said earlier, take lemons and make lemonade. Right.
Yeah, the adjustment was really the kids. Like, I work from home anyways because, I got an office in my attic where I'm at right now. Then my wife, she works from home and she has her own office, on the first floor. So it was really, we both work from home, but we never really see each other because I'm upstairs and she's downstairs. But it's the kids, man. It's just having the kids all day. I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So we managing the kids and managing work. They in Zoom meetings. I got to find time for them to go outside, etc. So, it's been a little bit challenging from that perspective. But, given the situation that we all home together, man, I'm enjoying it, man. It's good. Okay. It's been good. Yeah.
Okay, good. Can't ask for nothing more than that, man.
Right.
Listen, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit you with the first question. And the reason why I'm going to hit you with this question is, one, I'm going to go, I want you to be able to tell our audience a little bit more about yourself. Right. So the first question I'm going to go ahead and give you is, what are you doing now? What kind of projects are you doing? Any passion things? I think I might have seen you might be coaching a ball.
Right.
Tell them who you are, what part of Albany you grew up in, and what are you doing now, sir?
Right. So I grew up in the South End. I grew up in downtown Albany, on Green Street, and I smile when I say that because I have a lot of pride from being from that area. It was a lot going on growing up, but it made me a stronger man, and I love the fact that I grew up on Green Street in that downtown area. But yeah, I grew up downtown. I went to Arbor Hill. It's funny, I grew up downtown. I lived exactly across the street from Gifford Memorial, but I went to Arbor Hill. So when I was growing up, I knew a lot of uptown cats, downtown cats, midtown cats. Like, I was all over the place, which was a good thing. Yeah. And then after Arbor Hill, I ended up going to Hackett Middle School. Then I went to Bishop McGinn. And Bishop McGinn was kind of the turning point of my life because, it was a parochial school, predominantly white. So I started to, going into my freshman year, get a better understanding of different cultures. You know what I'm saying? Get a better understanding of different cultures, the difference between my culture and someone who's white, someone who's Asian, because I wasn't growing up with those people, during my younger years. And that whole Bishop McGinn experience, it prepared me to go to Lemoyne College, where I did my undergrad and graduate work. I did my MBA there because it was a similar experience. So it's been a blessing, like, all throughout. And after I graduated from Lemoyne, I got directly into pharmaceutical sales. which is kind of challenging to get into. So I've been blessed to, you know, to get into that fairly easy. My cousin Albany, she worked for, I think AstraZeneca for a long time. So she kind of prepped me and, you know, put me in a good position to be able to interview and land the gig. So I've been in pharmaceutical sales for probably around 12, 13 years.
Nice.
Not sales at this point. I'm actually, you know, I do a little bit of marketing as well. In fact, I manage all of the dermatology and cannabis business in North America. So both US and Canada. So I'm managing that business, which is fairly new to the company, maybe 24 to 36 months. But it's been exciting, especially the cannabis space. Some passions of mine right now, like you said, you know, I played ball in high school. I played ball in college. You know, I love basketball. The game has given me a lot. So, you know, I feel compelled to give back. And that's why, you know, I actually help out with a community center now in Englewood, New Jersey. And then I also have a travel basketball team where I work with some younger kids from some tough neighborhoods similar to me. And I'm trying to put them in a position where when they get up, you know, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, we can set them up to send them to school as well. And it's just been a real passion of mine. It's something that's been weighing on my spirit for like the past 5 years, but I've been working so much, I really never had an opportunity to get out there and do what I'm doing now. And I'm really enjoying it. What else I'm doing is, so as far as the cannabis space, so that's been kind of one of my passion projects as well. So I basically, you know, just recently I applied for a medicinal cannabis license in the state of New Jersey, probably like a year ago, maybe a year ago. And part of the reason I did that is because, you know, that now that I'm managing this space for my company, when I go to all these conferences and trade shows, I mean, the minorities are just a sprinkle. And let me rephrase that. The Black people in there is just a sprinkle. I mean, it's just a handful of us. I pretty much know everybody. And, you know, I felt compelled to try and go after this space because a lot of us are locked up over this. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us are in jail over marijuana sales, marijuana possession. And now it's becoming legalized in the US. And I don't think Blacks are reaping enough after all that we suffered, you know, because of marijuana. You know, marijuana is basically a drug that's tiered with heroin. You know what I'm saying? So you can get the same time for marijuana, you can get, you know, as having heroin, you know, and it's one of those spaces where, you know, I think our community has really been damaged. So I'm trying to get into this space, get a license, and then help brothers who come out of jail with felonies because of marijuana, help them get dispensaries and help them, you know, get on, you know, back on the right track. So. Nice.
That's
two things right now.
Two things about the cannabis. I was holding on like crazy. I'm just like, listen, do I jump in? So one, cannabis, depending on who you invest with right now, is doing really well. So I don't typically do individual stocks. You know, right now, like I'm all about mutual funds. But my best friend, he likes dipping and dabbing in the smaller stocks, and every day be like, yo, my cannabis stock is out the roof right now. Right. You know what I mean? And then I got a friend of mine. He's I don't know if you follow Jim Jones or not, but he's the fitness guy for Jim Jones. Okay. So if you always see them working out and all of that stuff, he's always with another dude. That's my man Does. But they're into that same business that you're talking about. I think theirs is called Saucy or something like that. But okay.
Now, it's a good space to get in. You know, it's like initially, like the way like New Jersey and New York set it up is like you had to have millions and millions of dollars to get in. Like you had to be able to they call it vertically integrated. You had to be able to grow it, you know, manufacture and process it and dispense it in the same site. You know what I'm saying? Which costs, you know, $10, $20 million. So it really just kind of put a brick wall around anyone who can get in besides the rich and wealthy. You know what I'm saying? So now, like, you know, they've kind of lessened those barriers to get in. It's still expensive. Like even a license it's going to cost you $50,000, $60,000 just to apply. You know what I'm saying? Just to apply, not even get a license, but just to apply. So I was fortunate enough to team up with, you know, a couple of doctors that I know, a couple of individuals who already own some dispensaries out of state. So we kind of band together and, you know, put together an application. But it's complicated. It's like, you know, I had to work with assemblymen, you know, city council people, lobbying groups. Like, it's complicated. And the reason I say that is because it's not giving your average person who may not be in the space a fair opportunity or a fair chance, because there's so many, you know, loops you got to get through. And, you know, I don't like the idea of that, especially our people, you know, who've been suffering from it and in jail, locked up from it, you know, for years. So, yeah, man.
Listen, man, you said another word that is the trigger word, vertically integrated.
Right.
It shot me straight over to Nipsey Hussle.
Right,
you know, listen, that's the way it's got to be. You know, I mean, you got to own all of these different aspects of it yourself to be able to profit of it. But nevertheless, man, keep kicking down the doors on that, because
appreciate that.
you know what I mean, like you said, it might be only a sprinkle of blackness in there, but through your experience, you'll be able to go ahead, shape, mold, and get other people involved. And the other crazy part is that everyone, I learned this from running my mentoring program there in Albany for 9 years. And just like, yo, sometimes you can want it for people more than they want it for themselves. And it's one of the most hurtful things to experience. Be like, nah, listen, it's light right there. It's light. Listen, it's light right there. Let's go this way. Be like, nah, Rel, I'm going that way. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't. It's hard, man. You can't. And I realize that too. You can't save everybody. Like, you know, it's family members I try to help out, close friends. Like, you try to put them in a position. You know what they say. They say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So that's the saying, and that's accurate. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely feel you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, keep kicking down doors on that one, man, because we need it. You know what I mean? Pretty much just being educated on it. And it's just like, there's so many different aspects of it, even in Albany. You know what I mean? I'm going to flip it to like real estate. You know what I mean? I don't know when the last time you came home, but listen, everything has an X up on it. And it's just like, there's nothing but properties. You're going to have to spend a lot of money rehabbing those properties. But, you know what I mean? It's nothing but properties there. And be like, yo, you can go ahead and take this, own different pieces of it. And it's kind of like the broken window theory. You know what I mean? They say if you see a broken window, it'll lead to another broken window. But if we start fixing it up, start being invested in the area, you know what I mean? So I'm vested in Albany. I still own a house there in Albany. You know what I mean? So it'll be like, yo, I'm vested in Albany. So, you know, I need Albany to get where it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? And so I love bringing my kids up there to Albany with me. Be like, yo, this is where I'm from. This is I take them through my old stomping grounds to be like, and it feels weird. I remember I might have just had my 4-year-old Dominic, and I'm so excited though. I'm walking around and I got him in the carrying stroller, right? Yeah. So, and I'm walking around and everybody, I'm up on Judson. I go all the way up to Second and Quail. I'm going all through the joint, and everyone sees me with this carrier on, and they looking at me like I'm weird, right? I'm just like, nah. I'm not weird. This is how it's supposed to be. Right. It's like, you know what I mean? Everything ain't about, you know what I mean? I don't want my kids going down the same exact path that I went through. Be like, you know what I mean? The goal is to go through it, by the grace of God, live through it, and come out on the other side to produce something better and to stop other people.
And you spot on. I think, you know, people who view you as weird for having your son, you know, on your chest or on your back, like there's a disconnect. Like they don't, I feel as if some brothers and sisters in Albany don't have enough examples set in front of them for it not to be weird. You know what I'm saying? To see a loving father or a caring father and be like, this dude loves his son. He cares about his son. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot of, you know, brothers and sisters in Albany who just don't have that role model, whether it's a male figure or female figure. And then there becomes a disconnect when they see somebody like you know what I'm saying, rolling through the hood, rolling through Justin or Second, wherever it is, you know, with your seed on you. You know what I'm saying? So and I think that's the purpose of this entire call. You know what I'm saying? Bringing it full circle. That's the purpose of this entire call. So
definitely, man. It's like we got to be the example. And a DJ said a word to me maybe about 2 months ago. He's like, Tyrell, you know, I like talking to you. He said, yo, because you're healthy. I can have a healthy conversation with you. Be like, yo,
Yep.
I can talk to you about anything you want to talk about. You want to talk about that? I can talk to you about that.
Right,
or you want to talk to about some other stuff? We can talk about that too. And it's just like, yo, you know what I mean? Want more, but you got to see more. So what is the saying? I always say, you learn from the successes and failures of people who look just like you. So it's like the more you see it, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to go that way, but it actually gives you, it presents the opportunity in front of you. You can't say that you didn't see it. Like, I seen it done. I seen Jason do it. I seen Tyrell do it. I seen ... do it. And that's what we want to keep bringing, man. We want to tell everybody the uniqueness of Albany, how it morphed you into the man that you are today. And, you know, also want to see what tools and jewels you have for the Albany community and the youth coming behind you. Let me see what I got. Let me see. So eventually I'm gonna get to the level of like Elliot Wilson in his interviews. You know what I mean? I was making a joke. I was like, listen, man, I gotta practice this stuff so I can get down pat. But I want to have the balance too, because I want it to be authentic. You know what I mean? I'm not a professional interviewer. This is not my trade. This is just my love. This is my love, and I want to be able to do something back. So pardon me if you see me over here looking at you.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, I get it.
Let me see. All right, where I want to go to. I'm gonna hit you with this one. Where's your favorite place to go to or visit in Albany, and why?
Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, outside of my mom's house, I like to go. Like when I get off exit 23, I always ride through Green Street. Like every time, like I never go directly to my mom's house. I always ride through Green Street just to see how the block is doing. If there's been any changes, any upgrades, something beaten down, I might stop. I might get out the car and just, you know, they put gates around Giffen Park now, and it wasn't gates there before. But I might get out and just go look in the park, because so many things happened in that park that sharpened me, made me a smarter man, made me a braver man, made me a better man. You know, it's a place that I'll never forget, man. Everything I know from basketball, I learned in that park. You know, I had my first fight in that park. Like, you know, it's just so many things happen there. So I like to stop in Giffen Memorial Park. And I live directly across the street, like 20 feet. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was walking directly across the street. So I spent basically from the ages of, you know, 2 to 17, you know, living downtown. So, you know, it's a special place. It holds a special place in my heart, for real. I bring my son down there too. I let him get out. I let him see it and feel it.
You got to.
And,
it's mandatory.
Bring my wife down there, let them see it and feel it, because, you know, it's important for my immediate family to understand, you know, where I came from. Like I was actually in Albany last weekend for my niece's graduation. She just graduated from Albany High. And I was with my father-in-law. My father-in-law was like, yo, Jay, why don't you, you know, take me through where you grew up. So I would take him through, you know, Albany. You know, I'd take him through 3rd Ave and 2nd Ave. You know, we went up top. Like, I would just take him around. We go to the new courts, and I'd be like, yo, we had some wars here. Like, you know, I would take him all around Albany and, you know, and just show him where I grew up, you know, just so he knows as my father-in-law, you know, what type of cloth I'm made from. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, like, they see me with the suit on, they see me with the tie on, but they don't understand. You know, I may come off well polished in the boardroom, but beneath that, you know, it's just a little black kid from the South End. You know what I'm saying? That's the root of me, you know, and I enjoy that, and I take pride in it. Word.
And you should. Actually, when you just said it, just being polished, it made me think about, for, you know, earlier in my life, I would probably say I was scared to be positive. You know what I mean? I was scared to be positive because I thought in order to be positive, I had to change who I was.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had to change my authenticity. You know what I mean? I had to be something that I didn't know I could be. But once I learned that, you know what I mean, in order to be positive, I don't got to change who I am. You know what I mean? I can bring that same essence that made me who I am to whatever circle I'm in. And it helped to give me that confidence to go ahead and shed it. But, you know, I had some people in my life, you know, that went the other way too, that was able to go ahead and give me that extra push too. Be like, nah, man, you know, you ain't got to stay in your lane, Rel. Stay in your lane right there. You know what I mean? It was like, this lane ain't taking you nowhere. But it's just like, so I get to bring, like you said, underneath the suit it's still that kid that played ball for 17 years downtown on Green Street.
Right.
It's still that kid that understood whatever hardships that you had to overcome there, that,
Right.
you know what I mean, I'm getting the chance to reap the benefits of my decisions later.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I
feel that.
I think you were spot on. Like, you know, you mentioned that you had someone in your corner to be able to kind of guide you and say, listen, this is your path, this isn't your path. Like, you had an OG in your ear. And that OG for me was DJ. Like, DJ was the one, he was the one, like, I remember, you know, vividly, DJ was the one, when I was probably 13, 14 years old, he was the one who came down to Green Street, picked up me and my man Marlon, knocked on my mother's door. She ain't even know him. Knocked on my mother's door. He was polite about it. He was like, excuse me, ma'am, I'd like to bring your son uptown. He's a good basketball player. I'd like him to play on my basketball team. And my mother was okay with it. And I told her, I was like, I know him, you know, I know him from the Girls and Boys Club and all this stuff. So he took us uptown. And this was a time when uptown, downtown was beefing.
Yeah.
And I'm a little nervous. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just me and my man. I'm going to the new courts. And I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work out. But, you know, I love the game.
I'm from the opposite side of town.
Right. I'm from the opposite side of town. I love the game. You know, DJ, I trust DJ. You know what I'm saying? He gonna look out for me. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, DJ brought me uptown. I didn't know who team I was going to be on. I ended up being on Old Manny. You remember Old Manny?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. OP.
So he played ball too, but he was from up top. So I didn't know which direction this whole thing was going to go. But, you know, DJ, he was the dude. He was the OG that kind of really said, look, man, y'all don't need to be beefing. Y'all need to be fighting. You know what I'm saying? Let's win this game. And me and O had ball in common. You know what I'm saying? So we was able to squash that immediately. You know what I'm saying? We was able to squash, and that's what really brought us together. But, you know, back to my point, you need every male, every female needs someone in their life to be able to keep it 100 with them and be like, yo, you're not like this. You're not like this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're built, you're from a different cloth. And you know what I'm saying? And it's you have to have someone to validate that and tell you, because while you're young, you're still trying to figure things out. But you need someone to be able to give you clear distinction of where you need to be and where you're headed. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Right.
Because to be honest, without those individuals, you know what I mean? Because it was enough of them. You know what I mean? I probably would have ended up in a lot more trouble than what I dipped and dabbed in. But it was just like, you know what? When you can get, and that's what I've learned over the years, is like, you know, we do a lot of things trying to vie or volley for respect. Right. It's like, but once you realize that it's a difference between, like, all respect ain't good respect, and some of the respect or the values that we've been taught as kids, you know what I mean, it don't get us anywhere in life. So sometimes you got to rework that path. You know what I mean? You got to rework, say, you know what, that hasn't worked out. So why am I going to keep going down that way? And that's what happened for me. Be like, you know what, I've seen enough of it. And be like, man, I think by the time I got out of high school, just like my cousin, I done seen too many deaths. I think Ra had died, Smurf had died, Twin died, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm getting the hell out of here. Right. So you know what I mean? Charlotte changed my life. That's how I got up out of Dodge, and be like, you know what? Listen, man, Charlotte was the next best thing. But you know what I mean? I had people that gave me the push and the authenticity, and I got a chance to learn from my brother too. You know what I mean? My brother was up, he was up north, and it was like, you know what? That was the person I grew up idolizing, and I wanted to be like him. So it was like, I'm running behind him, trying to be him, and it was just like, you know what? I learned through those experiences, I can't be him. I gotta be me. And it was just like, you know what? So I tried it. I was like, bro, those some big shoes to fill. One, you know what I mean? Real talk. Those some big shoes to fill. And, you know, it's too much energy trying to be that person. Right. So, you know what? I'm just going to be me. Right. And, you know what I mean? That was the best thing I ever could have done, because, you know, I'm alive and breathing here today and able to tell the story about it. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, it's stressful, man. And it's nothing like peace of mind, man. It's nothing like peace of mind. And it's always stressful, you know, trying to live up, you know, or trying to fill someone else's shoes, especially if they're going in the wrong direction. Because I found myself in the same position downtown. Like, I was trying to move like others were moving, and it wasn't the right thing to do to begin with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think once you come to that understanding, that's when things change. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real talk. I always think of Trey and Ice Cube in the
Yeah.
and Boys in the Hood. I'd be like, that was me. I was Trey. I was getting yo, let me out. Let me out.
Right.
Let me out.
Yeah.
Let me out. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see what I got for you, man. If you were able to tell me this, how did growing up in Albany prepare you for adulthood, and in what ways did it prepare you to fail, possibly?
I think growing up in Albany it allows you to be, it forces you to be street smart. It forces you to be savvy in the streets. Like you need that. I think that's the makings of me, is that I consider myself both street smart and book smart. Okay. And you need to be like that. Like even in the boardroom, like you got sharks in there. Like you got to be able to read people. Like in the streets, that's a gift that I think a lot of people in the inner city have, is they can read the room well. They can read people. You know what I'm saying? Antennas are always up. And I think, as I've gotten older and I started to work in corporate America, like my antennas are always up. Like I'm always looking. I'm always, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's the same thing. Having said that, it's important to be book smart as well. Like I went to Bishop McGinn. Bishop McGinn was a great school. I learned a lot in that school. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a really good environment for me. Like I was at a crossroads after I graduated from Hackett, to go to either Bishop McGinn or to go to Albany High. And based on the path that I was on, like if I would have went to Albany High, it could have got ugly, based on the path that I was on and what I was doing when I was, 13, 14, going into 15 years old. So I think when I went to McGinn, it kind of polished me up a little bit. It showed me some different things. And as I've gotten older, I realized that, now I carry with me some street senses and some book senses. So I think, collectively being raised in that Albany environment, being raised downtown, and then kind of transitioning, into Bishop McGinn, into a parochial school, it kind of gave me both sides of the story to give me the full story. Okay.
If there was anything, I'm thinking of private versus public schooling. What were the advantages that you might have say that you were able to get as a result of going from public to private, and how did that experience shape you?
I think it was just I wouldn't say it was necessarily the teachers. I think it was the students. Like when I was in Hackett, like, and I've always been probably like a B plus student. I was never a student because, and I'm keeping it 100. I was never a student. I was always a B plus student. Like that was just me. I never really studied. Like I learned what I learned, and then I went to school and I, passed my exams and everything like that. When I got to Bishop McGinn, and this was all through Hackett, like, what I'm saying? And when I was in Hackett, I was running with a tough crowd. Like I was running with a tough crew, and what I'm saying? We did what we did, and nobody was really studying. Nobody was doing anything. I just happened to know a lot of the work. Once I got to Bishop McGinn, I realized that the students there, and this was a predominantly white school, like they were more adamant about getting good grades, visiting their guidance counselor, trying to get into college. But that's because they grew up in a different environment too.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
They grew up in, they came from different elementary schools. They went to different middle schools where that foundation was established. Like when I was younger, that wasn't really established. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people I grew up with, like they were failing. Like they were, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't passing on to the next grade. They wasn't even going to school. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
peep this. It's like, I tell everybody, it's like in the urban environments, you got a lot of variables that you got to worry about. And it's not just school. So imagine having the luxury of not worrying about if you got electricity at home, or if these dudes going to try to jump you down the street, or if whatever it may be. It was like you can focus on a whole nother set of tangible things to go after, because it's like I don't have those same worries. But I always tell them the kids from the inner city are some of the most gifted kids in the world because of what you have to face on a day-to-day, whether it's home, you know what I mean? I gotta be a big brother, a big sister to my siblings. I gotta take care of X, Y, and Z. I gotta work. So all of these other variables, juggling those variables, and then trying to do well academically too. It's just like, you know, what comes first? It's just like, well, really, I need to eat. So I ain't really worried about studying. How am I going to eat?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you bring up a good point, because like a lot of the dudes I grew up with, we was in the 7th grade, 8th grade, like people was hustling. You know what I'm saying? People was hustling, and it wasn't because they wanted to hustle. It was because I got my little sister, I got my mother, you know what I'm saying? Like, she got to pay her rent. I'm trying to help my moms out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let me do what I do. Not just that, but damn, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to fight this kid after school. Like, these dudes is trying to jump me after school. I'm not going to school. Like, it's too many people trying to fight me. I'm not going to school at all. I don't feel like dealing with it. So like, it was so many, like you said, different variables and factors going on in the inner city. Sometimes school is the last thing you thinking about. It's the most important thing, but because you have so much going on, it's the last thing you're thinking about growing up in the inner city. So like, when I see people grow up from the inner city and break that cycle, like, you know what I'm saying? I salute them, because I know how tough it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that, you know, these kids want to do it. It's just what's put in front of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're born into that environment. Like, I was born into that environment, and you just have to manage it. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, while, you know, a lot of the white kids I grew up, they weren't born into that. You know what I'm saying? The path was a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? And this all goes back to this Black Lives Matter shirt that I got on, because a lot of what we went through it's intentional. It's structural. It's systemic. You know what I'm saying? It's cyclical. You know what I'm saying? Like, people in Albany that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? They still in the same spot. They kids still in the same spot. Like, it's not their fault. It's just cyclical. It's systemic. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, and sometimes it breaks my heart, like, that a lot of people, and not just in Albany, but Chicago and Florida and California, like, a lot of people are in the same positions that their mother's mother was in. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have a hand to help them out. So, you know what I'm saying? When people say Black Lives Matter, like, I don't think, you know, the people who say all lives matter are the people who say blue lives matter, are the people who say something else. Like, they don't understand, like, you know, the systemic racism and the structural racism that's been placed upon Black people, you know, decades and centuries ago, that still have an effect on us today. You know what I'm saying? So it's complicated.
Put that in the context of being in a small town, right? Put racism in the context of being in a small town, being in a place like Albany. He's like, do you think that doesn't exist there in Albany? Do you think it doesn't? You know what I mean? It'd be like, yo, there's classism, there's racism. You got all of these different things, and it's just like, add that to one of the variables on top of wondering how I'm gonna eat, or people trying to bully me, or you got all of these different variables and trying to maneuver and manage what kind of person you're gonna be. It was like, you're gonna make some mistakes, and it was like, you know, anybody who's made it out of the situation, they'll tell you, is like, yo, listen, it took a little bit of luck, it took a lot of love, you know what I mean, it took a lot of hard work. It was just like, because, you know, if you're not prepared to deal with those things, and you can't really call it for what it is, like, today's world is different right now, and in the last couple of months, you know what I mean, it's totally changed. I told my wife, I don't know how I'm gonna deal when when quarantine is over, and you gotta go back outside, and you're gonna deal with the people who feel empowered to talk to you a certain way. And it's just like, you know, and I still got a certain attitude about me, and to be like, I'm still working on it. You know what I mean? I'm still working on it. It was like, all right, just shut up. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? But that's the other aspect of it. So imagine, like you said, having all of these other variables on top of you in a small town like Albany. And it's just like, you know, how do you get the knee up off your neck? How do you feel like there's a way out? And for me, the only thing that I've been able to come up with is inspiration. I gotta be inspired. I gotta be able to see that it's something different than just this. And I seen it early. And it was just like, yo, you know what? I remember I got kicked out. I got kicked out of Albany High midway through my senior year going to Albany High, right? And I remember the next day I came outside, you know what I mean? I can remember it clear as day. I ain't gonna mention his name, but this dude told me, he says, okay, Rel, he said, oh, here go my boy Rel with the jigger. Here go Rel with the jigger. He was just he said, listen, now you can be out here with us all day. It was that comment alone that changed the game for me. Because I'm just like, man, I'm messed up. Emotionally, I'm messed up. It's like, I love school. I'm a nerd at heart. So it's just like, you are kind of like happy and excited that now I have free time on my hand. I could be on the block all day. And I'm just like, nah, it's got to be something else other than that. I went back in the house. At the time, I used to write raps all the time. So I went back in the house. I wrote a rap about it. It was like, nah, that's not gonna be it for me. You know what I mean? So, you know, and by the grace of God, that wasn't it for me. You know what I mean? So, but that's the thing, man. It'd be like trying to figure, you got all of these different things on top of you and trying to figure out how to navigate. And when I first got out of school, I came back to Albany and I started a nonprofit. So I ran my model program for 9 years there. And the whole premise was to teach young men, 12 to 18-year-olds, you know what I mean? That once you turn on the light bulb for them, it's like, I guarantee you they're going to be some of the most prolific, powerful, altruistic kids you're going to meet. And it's just like, you just need somebody to invest in you enough and to spark that light bulb for you. Once my light bulb got sparked, it was on. It wasn't no looking back from there. It was just like, actually, you know what? I can get good grades. It's like, actually, I'm pulling all A's when I go for undergrad. I'm just like, oh, I can do this. So, you know, what I mean, you try to carry over that same confidence that I eventually got and give it to other people, because other people gave me the confidence when I really needed it.
And those are critical ages, man, that 12 to 18, man. If you can impact someone's life in that age range, chances are they're going to develop the way they need to develop. You know what I'm saying? If you can hit them between that 12 to 18, man. So that's a really good age range.
Okay. Good. Yeah, man. I don't know how we came up with that, but I think it's the most crucial part, because you definitely come into it's around 7th grade. 7th grade, you're gonna be coming into yourself. It's like you got a little bit more freedom. You know what I mean? Now you got these block schedules or whatever you got over here. And it's just like, you know, but you got peer pressure like a motherfucker. It's like, who am I gonna be? Who am I gonna be riding with? What kind of am I gonna be a dog? Am I gonna be whatever? It's like, you know, you got all of these things. 12 to 18 is crucial, because that's how you really identify who you are and what you're gonna be. And it starts there. It starts early. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Let me see. If Albany has seen more and more violence and our communities have experienced a lot of loss over the past years, what changes would you like to see? What is your hope for the city?
I think it starts with what I experienced, you experience. I think it starts with, you know, some of the OGs are people who are within the community, people who are respected in the community. Like, I think these people need to get together and figure out a plan. And I know that's a broad statement, but something to the effect where these influencers are respected people. They need to be grabbing people from individual cliques who are beefing and bring them together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to literally go pick somebody up, this group of people and this group of people, and bring them together to help stop the violence. Like, I don't think it can be any city official. You know, I don't think it could be any of that. It has to be people within the community that's respected to be able to trigger this, to be able to bring some sort of peace in Albany. I mean, this has been happening for decades, like uptown, downtown. Now here's like Troy and all these different places. Like, and I wasn't even in the mix when I was growing up, so it's new to me. But I really think you need people within the community to grab certain individuals, you know, within these cliques and bring them together and see if that solves anything. Maybe bring them outside of Albany. You know what I'm saying? So they can see different things, feel different things, hear different things, you know, and it'll kind of open up their perspective. So that was my initial thought on, you know, a first step into solving some of this.
Okay. Listen,
Right.
I actually like it. You said, you know, bringing them outside of Albany, right?
Right.
And KP had just said the same thing. He was just like, listen, man, you see how beautiful y'all look, Albany? You know what I mean? When you get when you get outside of here, and it's
Right.
crazy because
Right.
you know I got enough friends that's locked up, and it's the same thing. It was like, yo, you could be warring with a person in Albany, but y'all get locked up together. You know what I mean? It was like, actually, I
Right.
got more in common with you than some of the
Right.
dudes I was out here rocking with, and be like, and could become best of friends, and be
Right.
like, yo, or go outside of town and be
Right.
like, yo, I don't even care. I remember Markel came to Charlotte. He was playing ball for Central. He came
Right.
to Charlotte, and I'm rooting for Central, and I'm at Johnson C. Smith. But they're like, yo, why are you rooting for them? I say, because he from home.
Facts.
Period.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like the love, you can embrace one another. It's just the whole aspect, the pressure, the facade of being what you feel like you need to be there changes when you get outside of there.
Right. That hate turns to love immediately.
Yeah.
You not there's nothing to prove anymore. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to, you know, put on a show. You don't need, there's no loyalty. There's not, you just trying to have a good time. And when you see somebody else, you know, from your city, like it's a connection. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all from the same city, y'all from the same struggle, whether y'all beefing or not, y'all both know what it is. And that alone, you know what I'm saying, starts to draw love and respect for one another. Now, when you get back into the city, you have an experience outside the city that's gonna prevent you from warring.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, yo, I was just kicking it with you down in DC or down in Maryland, but now when y'all see each other in the city, y'all gonna remember that experience, and you're gonna think twice about doing what you would have done if that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Because the love was there. So, and the love was mutual.
Yeah, that experience, man, the experience changes everything.
Right.
The experience is just like, yo, it's other ways of handling it. You know, I don't gotta try to fight you. It's enough space for us to coexist. It's enough space for us to have a good time. And it was just like, yo, that's the trickier piece though. It's like you end up realizing that you have more in common with the person that's from the opposite side of town than you do with the person that's right there. And it's just like, yo, once you start to realize that, you know, I just look for good people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now I look for good people. It's good people in almost any bunch. It's bad people in almost any bunch too. I just look for good people now. Be like, you know, listen, I like to vibe with you. What kind of movies you like? What kind of music you like? You know what I mean? You like to travel? Oh, where you like to travel? Let's talk about that. You know what I mean? But once they start to see it, you know what I mean? Bear and DJ was coming back from Atlanta yesterday. So I was on IG Live with them yesterday.
Okay.
And it was just dope. It was dope. I was telling Bear, one, I'm just like, yo, the amazing part of it is being able to get outside of Albany. You know what I mean? It recharges you because you need to be recharged. You need to be charged up sometimes when you're around negativity. It's like, I need to get charged up. And if I don't have anything to charge me up, I can't give you anything. So that way I can come back charged up to charge this city up to get us where we need to. But you need more than one person. You can't just be, you know what I mean, this going on. You can't, it's too many fires to fight. And it's just like, listen, when you want change, I want change with you. As simple as that. You know what I mean? When you want change, I want change with you. I'm not trying to say I'm better than you. I got a different way. No, when you want change, I want change with you because I've gotten a chance to see what it feels like. I've gotten a chance to see what it looks like. I got a chance to see what healthy is. You know what I mean? Learning how to be able to, you know what I mean, have a talk through someone through an argument instead of just saying, okay, you stepped on my Puma.
Right,
you know, that's the end of you, just cause. You know what I mean? So let me just changing the dynamics, and that's what I want. You know what I mean? Change the dynamics. Like I see a lot of these guys on my social media now who would have never been friends before, but they can go travel together, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? I grew up uptown, but I was crosstown most of my life. I was downtown. You know, I can go to any one of those neighborhoods and hang out with everybody. I can be downtown with these dudes. I can be crosstown with these dudes and be like, listen, matter of fact, once I learned how to get out of Albany, I was telling everybody, we're going to get out of Albany.
Right.
It was too funny. I remember when I first bumped into you and Jackie and them down there in Charlotte.
Oh,
You're like, listen, for years I was telling everybody about CIAA before CIAA even became a big thing. Like, I'm like, listen, I'm telling you, CIAA is a thing. and it's crazy to see what it turned out to. It's like every year, everyone from Albany was now is like, hey, listen, man, oh, we going to CI. It's like, man, I've been telling you about CI for a long time.
I met my wife there at CI,
Word?
CIAA, yeah, back in 2010. I don't know if that was the year I ran into you, but I think that was like my first or second year going. But my wife is from Raleigh, so she was down there, like visiting and hanging out. So we start kicking it from there. But yeah, man, it's those type of experience, and it's like when you see somebody from the town, like in Charlotte, in Atlanta, in Florida, wherever it is, like it's all love because you know you kind of feel like there's like-mindedness. You know what I'm saying? Correct. Like-minded individuals are around you, so it's all love. So. Yeah, definitely.
It's a common struggle. I think I make it a point to, you know what I mean, I've learned to keep a smaller circle. The more mature, I'm not gonna say the older I got, the more mature I got, I've learned to keep a smaller circle. But my smaller circle, I stay in close ties with. Like if I'm in Florida, well, depending on if his bud's up in Albany or not, but you know, yo QC, where you at? You know what I mean? I'm going to go hang out with Quan, you know, or if I'm gonna be down here, wherever I'm at. You know what I mean? Even when Charlotte now, I got more people in Charlotte. They be like, yo, how you been telling us about Charlotte for all these years and you ain't come down there? And like, listen, my wife ain't letting me go to Charlotte. Right. They're like, listen, we go for homecoming and that's about it. You bring your butt home, mister. So, right. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know, so that's the thing, man. It's just like I said earlier, when you experience it, you want other people to experience it. Right. And because you know it's gonna turn on that bulb for me, like you know what?
It's important, man. Yeah. It's important, man. I had to drag a couple people with me, you know what I'm saying, when I took trips to Florida or I took trips to Vegas or I took anywhere, you know what I'm saying? I had to drag just so they can feel and see because I knew it would turn them on. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna turn their light bulb on and they're gonna be ready to go. You know, they're gonna be ready to get out of the town because they've seen something new and experienced something new. So you spot on, Ralph. Word. Yeah, man. Yeah.
And then you can bring all of those experiences back. You can bring it back, and it's like you can't give anything new. So our house up in Albany was like my mom passed. She left the house to me, but me and my wife we totally renovated the entire house. And it was like everyone who comes up in the joint, they be like, "Damn, yo, how y'all figure that?" It's like, yo, because we renovated our house down here the same way. Right. Gutted the joint and built it exactly how we wanted it. So it's I can take that experience of here, bring that back there and be like, ain't none of these houses looking like this around here. And be like, yo, y'all put a lot of money in this joint. Like, yeah, because, you know what I mean, it's you get the experience to go back to help or to change the areas or the people or the places that you love. And like I said, man, I love Albany. And I really want it I want it to be better.
Yeah, man. It's a good spot, man. I've been investing in Albany since like the first house I bought. I think I was like 23. And I think I bought like 7 or 8 properties. Like I was like on the wave in Albany. Yeah, like 23. Like I started moving quickly. I was real aggressive. And I was like, and I intentionally was buying like properties in the hood, like uptown and downtown because like, you know, me and a couple friends, like we was each individually buying different properties on the same strip, on the same block, because we were trying to be that change. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when people say buy up the block, like we was literally trying to do that to try and make our communities better. You know what I'm saying? Because we were in a position to do so. And I got a buddy of mine now who's got a major project going on in downtown Albany that I've been connected with lately. So, but it's important for us to do that, to reinvest back into our communities, man. It's important for us to do that. You don't necessarily always have to live there if you don't want to live there, but it's important for you to at least reinvest back into the community that gave so much to you. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Let me see. Do you think, I think you might have touched on it, but do you think that education saved you and opened up doors for you? Because I'm trying to figure out, you know what I mean, what is the key? What's the stickler point that, you know, we need to be able to get through to not just the youth, because sometimes it's not just a youth experience, but what has the value of education been on you in your life, and how has it made or opened up doors for you?
I think, you know, I'm a big believer in education, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be a 4-year college.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can be a trade, it can be anything, but it's important to be passionate about something. And even if you're not passionate, but have the mindfulness to say, hey, I need to go into a certain field in order for me to make it, in order for me to better my life. And my thing was, you know, I knew that I needed to be educated to do what I needed to do. Like I loved playing ball. When I was growing up, I thought I was going to the league. Like could nobody tell me I wasn't going to the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I knew like I had to have good grades to get into college. Like I needed to have, you know, good grades in college to get my degree, you know, and get a good job. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I knew that education was always going to have a vital role in my life. And that's why I push my nephew and my nieces, and I'm trying to set my kids up now and people I know. And even the travel team that I work with now, it's all about education. Like I tell their parents, I say, I don't care if they go Division I, Division II, Division III. My goal is to get your kid into school. And I'm gonna do everything in my power to get your son into school. Like I feel as if I have the know-how and enough connections to be able to get, you know, some of these kids into school. And I'm trying to get every last one of them into school because I know how important it is to be educated. You know, before my dad passed away in October, and he always used to be like, you know, having a college degree is like having a driver's license nowadays.
Yeah.
Like you got to have it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and this is my dad. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He barely finished high school. Like, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, yo, having a college degree is like having a driver's license. You got to have it. And that's my mindset right now. So it's like, and it's not just a college degree, but having some sort of trade. Like you have to have that in order to, you know, make a good life for yourself and for your family. So man, to me, it's critical. You know what I'm saying? It's critical. Like I've taken, you know, I've taken a responsibility, you know, to try and get my crew, meaning the kids that I work with now, all into college. Like that's my goal. Trying to get all of them into college. So.
Listen, man. And they say, what they say about success is like, it's easy to create success for yourself. It's hard to create success for other people. Right.
And that's real.
You know, I look at the success of the kids that I've mentored, and it was just like, you know, my kids got more education than I do. He's like, these dudes some of them went on, got their master's, some got a doctor's degrees already. Some of them are in San Francisco, Chicago, Charlotte, you name it. It's just like, you know, like I said, man, once you spark the bulb of these kids, he's like, you know what I mean? They ain't coming back. He's like, you know, like, oh, listen, I realize there's more. So like you said, I believe in education. Education, I mean, one, like I said, I'm a nerd. I like learning, period. I've always liked learning, you know what I mean? But it was just like, you know, I go upstairs, nothing but books. I remember when I first met my wife, she's like, yo, you read regular, like old school books? And it's like, man, I like to feel. I like to put it in my hands. Like, you know, sometimes I would come before my mother passed, I'll be sitting there, I'll go outside the house, I'll be right on Judson reading a book. I'm reading Jay Prince's new book right out there sitting on the corner of Judson. And what's crazy was the same dude who made the comment to me about, oh, my boy Rel with the jigger, he gonna be out here with us. Yo, I'm sitting outside in front of the house, no lie. I'm reading a book, and he came up again. Just like out of nowhere. And he said, yo, why are you always doing something different? That's just how I am, fam. And I'm just like, and it took me back years ago to that original comment that he said to me too. It's like, yeah, see, but you see where getting different gets you? You know what I mean? And that's it. It's just like, so you got to dare to be different. You know what I mean? Trying to move in the same direction that everybody else is going. You know what I mean? That's not the mold for you. Find your mold. And, you know what I mean, move at your own pace. Never try to compare yourself to anybody else. Move at your own pace. You know what I mean? And you'll get to where you're supposed to be.
And I think I think you touched on this earlier, the only fine line, like, you know, hold on one second.
Okay.
I think the fine line, like, with trying to, like, get the kids that I'm working with in the school is that you can't, like you said earlier, like you can't want it more than them.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't want it more than them. Like I have my little cousin who's at Florida State right now. like it got to a point where he's graduating in like 3 or 4 weeks, but I've been working with him for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I wanted it more than him. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw how bright his future was, and I was seeing things that he wasn't seeing. And so it's a fine line of trying to, like, you know, letting them get it on their own and, you know, doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Doing too much. So, but yeah, man, that's been my passion, just trying to give back. I've been so compelled lately, you know, it's just been weighing on my spirit heavily to try and, you know, do things for people that either weren't done for me or that have been done for me, just to put others in a better spot, you know?
Yeah,
So.
listen, I did hear a story. I know I'm probably putting out too much out there. Don't worry, it ain't a bad one. I did hear a story about one time where it was like how compelled you were feeling to give back, that you went into this particular elementary school and decided to make donations of monetary donations to the school. You want to tell the people about that?
Yeah, man. It's, you know, like it was around Christmas, and I had, you know, it was, you know, I wanted to do something for different families in the community that I grew up with. So I actually reached out to DJ and I said, yo, D, like, you know, I wanna be able to give Christmas gifts to kids this year at Giffen. I never went to Giffen, but it was a school right across the street, and I knew that DJ played a role in Giffen, you know, as an administrator. So I said, yo, D, and you know, he asked me to come down, and, you know, he brought me in the principal's office, and I gave him a check, and I gave her a check to kind of do whatever they thought was the right thing to do, and to pick like 3 or 4 families, you know, so they can have a nice Christmas. And that's something, you know, I feel like God has put me in a position to help others, you know, like what God has bestowed upon me, I feel the need to help others with. Like, it's not for me. It's part of that is to help other people, you know, whether it's in my family or in my community. So, and it'd be selfish of me not to. So I try and like reach out to different people in Albany, like every year, like every Christmas. It may not be the same place, but I might reach out to someone individually, you know, and you know, I don't like to promote it or anything, but I'll reach out to somebody individually, you know, to see if I can lend a helping hand, you know, to help them out for Christmas or for Thanksgiving or whatever it is, only because, like, God, you know, these last years, probably like the last 5 to 7 years, God has really been putting that on my spirit to help others, to bless others, and then he'll continuously bless me. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of cyclical that way, where like he's giving me and I'm giving it out, and then he gives it to me again and I'm giving it out. So,
and it's crazy though. People don't get that. People don't get that part though. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know that's such a general statement, so I shouldn't say such in a general way, but a lot of people don't get it. It was just like, you know, a lot of the things that when good happens for you, good and bad, when things happen for you, the experience isn't just for you. Right. You never know what that experience that you went through and how you went through it or handle it, how you may later be able to help somebody else that's going through a similar situation. And it was just like, you know, so our experiences, you know what I mean, help shape us. And a lot of times people think that, you know, I have to be in such a better situation. I got to have way more money to help out. I got to do X, Y, and Z. Really, you don't. To be honest, what I've learned is that, you know, you got to have a caring and compassionate heart and realize that, you know, it's not just about you. So like, you know, even when I was in Albany, you know, I was like, yo, I was broke. It was nothing in comparison to how I live now. You know what I mean? But it was just like my heart was there, and it was just like, yo, well, when you gonna move out of here? It was like my heart was here. Right. It was like, you know, so you end up investing in there. So, but like I said, even in that though, you end up learning that you can't want it more than other people. So, and you can eventually get yourself burnt out trying to do that. So you find a balance, you know, and it took me a while to find my balance. Even coming back right now doing this new project, it's just because I'm in so much more of a healthier situation. And it's just like, you know, you can find a balance. Like I've already told people I'm not committing to this the same way I did to my previous project with Model. Just like, you know what, I'm going to do something once a week. I'm going to try to go ahead and do it around the time that is already designated for family time, because I'm not going to chop that up. So you got to find balance. You got to go through
Yep.
experience to find balance.
And I think you hit on the key point. And as I've gotten older, what I've found more valuable in terms of donating or giving is time. Like if I'm giving my time to you, or if I'm giving my time to one of my kids, I find that more valuable. And I'm sure at some point they'll find it more valuable than just giving out money or giving out, you know what I'm saying? Because now we sharing experiences. Now we building a relationship that's gonna go further than any amount of money that somebody can give you. Like we starting to build a relationship. I'm giving you time that I could be doing with my family, or I could be doing with my kids and my wife, or whatever it is. So now that I've matured, I think giving time is the true blessing. That's the true love, and it's not just money like all of the time. So,
Real talk.
Right.
Listen, man, I'm a wrap this thing up with you.
Damn, how long we been on, Rail? Like 2 hours?
It feels like that. It feels like that. You know what I mean? But it's crazy because one, I'm a talker, so you know, I can talk a person's head off. Well, let me see. It was okay. One, where'd it go? Yeah, I can leave it there.
Okay.
So thinking of your strengths, right? Thinking of your strengths as a person, as a man, as a father, as a person involved in everything that you are involved in. What do you think are your most admirable traits that you think are transferable to other people? One reason why I say, because some of it isn't. Some of it is just your uniqueness. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean that's not transferable. People are who they are. But there's certain things that you may have picked up along the way that has been beneficial to you. So what are your strengths, or what are the skills that you have learned that you think would be helpful for other individuals in Albany to either acquire or just learn from this video and live vicariously through you and your experience?
I think I'd have to say fatherhood. Fatherhood is something that I take pride in. It's been a game changer and a life changer for me and my family. You know, now that my dad has passed away, like before he passed away, he would always talk about legacy, his legacy. Like we are his legacy, his children. Even on his deathbed, we had a conversation about legacy, and that really resonated to me. And, you know, that's why I do what I do for my kids. I go hard for my kids. You know, they're a priority in my life. And, you know, and to be honest with you, I've learned from other people who were great fathers. Like I've watched them and seen what they've done with their kids, or what they're doing with their kids. And I've taken, you know, some of the things that they were doing and applied them to my life. So, you know, being a father, like not only am I teaching my kids, but they're also teaching me. You know what I'm saying? Like they're teaching me patience. Like, Dad, you need to be patient with me. Now my son, I'll tell my son he needs to be patient. And then if he's doing something and I'm trying to speed him up, he'll be like, Dad, be patient with me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and he's right. And it's like, you know, he's only 4 years old, but I do need to be patient with him because he's a child. So, you know, just fatherhood, you know, I'm just trying to be the greatest dad in the world, you know, to my son and to my daughter. And, you know, they mean the world to me, and I take a lot of pride in it. And, you know, me and my wife, we basically base our entire lives and our entire world around our children. Like all our schedules are around, you know, Aspen's, you know, basketball game, or Zoe's soccer game, whatever it is. We want to pour into our children, so when they can get older, they can pour it into their children. So if somebody else is watching me, like one place I'm trying to be really perfect at, and one place I'm trying to carefully step, is how I'm raising my children. Like that's important to me. So, and it's, you know, when you go to Albany, or even when I was growing up, it was a lot of brothers who didn't have a dad, like whose dad wasn't around, and they were kind of figuring things out on themselves, or, you know, they were in a broken home where it was just the mom, you know, raising them, and who was managing however they needed to manage to raise them. So for the fathers, the up and coming fathers, like, you know, my thing is that it's really critical to be in your kid's life. Like having a son, I know how important it is for me to be in the household. Like it's important for me to be in the house. It's important for me to, you know, to be disciplined with them sometime, and to tell them different things. And it just resonates sometimes from a man than it does from a woman. Just like sometimes my wife, like she'll say something, it'll hit differently than when I say it. You know what I'm saying? So I would say just fatherhood is probably, you know, one of the transferable things that someone could pick up from me. So
hey, listen, man, that's powerful. That's powerful, and that's a huge staple to build upon, because, you know, I can only imagine it influences you in all aspects of what you do now, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? I realized that the more reckless rail was when I didn't have a goal. I didn't have something in mind. You know what I mean? I didn't have a reason, like, oh no, you need to make it home. You know what I mean? Be like, you know what I mean? But when you get that structure and you understand the importance of it, here's the other piece. You understand the importance of two. You know what I mean? So, and it says it biblically too. He's like, you know, you can do more with two than you can with one. So being able to create an atmosphere in one, in which I didn't have. So, you know, it was my mom who raised us by herself. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, so we're trying to map out fatherhood, trying to create imagery that wasn't always there. So it's just like, you know, how do you create the perfect image? And the reality is that there's no perfect image. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna learn from your mistakes, hopefully, and you're gonna get better. But when you got two, you know what I mean? I tell my wife all the time, it's like, yo, sometimes I'm a pooper butt because I'm all about safety all day. It's like my wife has a free spirit. She be like, yo, you know, just let them do this. I'd be like, nah, he can fall. He can fall. He's like, so sometimes I just sit in the house because I be like, listen, I don't want to be a pooper butt today. It was like, you know, go ahead, y'all go be great outside. You know what I mean? It was like, so, because that's the power of two. So imagine having to have the responsibility of being a disciplinary, being the stern person, being a cool person. When you got two people, you can go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, we can feed off of each other. And it's been so much more of a blessing.
Right. And you know, I always say this, man, you know, my sister's a single mom. And, you know, I know a lot of single moms out there, and my heart goes out to them. And I say this because I know what it's like just watching my kids by myself. You know what I'm saying? When my wife ain't around, like even during this whole pandemic, even when my wife go to the grocery store for a couple hours, you know what I'm saying? I'm running around chasing them. So like my heart goes out to all the single mothers out there, you know, who are raising their kids by themselves, man. And, you know, I can't imagine what it's like. Because I'm raising mine with my wife, but in those split moments, like I get a glimpse of it and a taste of it, and it just shows how strong, you know, these single mothers out, and just single parents in general, whether it's dads as well, just single parents are, man. So my heart goes out to all of them, and salute, for real.
Hey, listen, I've been on both sides. So you know, it's like I said, it's a blessing to have a partner. It's a blessing to be able to see eye to eye, and it's you know what I mean, to just really focus in on what's important. And it's like, you know, it's building that legacy, like your father was talking about, building legacy. You know what I mean? Right now, I'll be reading books, Anthony O'Neill, Debt-Free Degree. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you know, so be like, nah, you know what? We don't got to go to school, pay a whole bunch of money, end up in debt. Be like, nah, man, take care of your debt. Doing Dave Ramsey. You know what I mean? I bought my entire family Dave Ramsey, the Dave Ramsey course. You know what I mean? Like, yo, here's the thing, because financial freedom starts with discipline. You know what I mean? It was like, I remember when my wife first started kicking it to me, I'm like, man, I wouldn't do this. But it was just like, it was the best thing in the world. You know, you're like, yo, so discipline, you know what I mean? You could be disciplined for a short term to have long-term gains, or you can just be, you know what I mean, living in a moment, and you find yourself living in that moment for a very, very long time.
Word. Yeah. No, that's real.
Okay. All right. Last question for you. If you are reading anything, watching anything that is of meaningful value that you think might be shareable, reading any books, listening to any podcasts.
you know who I've been watching on social media IG is I think his name is Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. His name is, I think his Instagram is EP the hip hop preacher, and he's basically a motivational speaker. And I found out about him because my nephew, my little cousin, he goes to Florida. I call him my nephew because he's a lot younger than me, but he goes to Florida State, and I think he was at Florida State and he was doing a motivational talk. And I started following him on Instagram, and I posted him today, and he just has very powerful messages when he's delivering, and it's always impactful, and it's, you know, and it's a lot of his messages are biblically based, but they're very powerful, and you can apply them to almost anything. So I think he's been a good source of motivation and inspiration for me. When I'm trying to, you know, get through the weeds, you know, sometimes I might just go to his page and I just, you know, click on his link, and, you know, whatever it is he's delivering, oftentimes it hits home. So that's been what I've been watching. You know, I recommend him to anybody who's watching this video. You won't go wrong with that.
Okay.
Word.
I appreciate it. If you were to recommend anybody to me, this is my final question for every interviewee. Who would you recommend me to interview next from Albany? You ain't gotta tell me why. You can tell me who, or you can tell me why.
I'm gonna tell you, my man, Kenyatta Burden. I don't know if you know him. We grew up on the same block in Green. I grew up in 202. He grew up in 200. Actually 220 Green, and we got similar backgrounds. You know, after he went to Hackett Middle School, after Hackett, he went to Albany Academy. Now he's a physician assistant in Syracuse, New York. And he works in the orthopedic segment. So him and I have been like, we talk all the time. Like, we build all the time. He's got a beautiful family. He's got, you know, a wife, twin girls, a little boy. His girls are like 10 or 11. His son is like 7. Beautiful home. He's just another success story. Like, he's a success story. And I think he'll have a lot of gems for you. So that'd be my recommendation, man. Kenyatta Burden, KB. DJ knows him too. Word.
Okay, Albany, you hear that? We getting the lineup together for you. I think right now I got 14 people on deck of interviews that are coming, but Kenyatta Burden is going to be one of the people that we actually add on that list as well. So thank you very much for taking your time, as you said earlier, because it's the most valuable thing that any one of us can share. So I really appreciate you taking some time away from the family. I ain't gonna hold you up too much longer, but thank you for doing the interview with us today. And we look forward to getting this word out to the communities here in Albany, and hope that it can do exactly what we hope to do, which is inspire.
Word. Yo, Rel, appreciate you, man. I love everything that you're doing, man. You got a beautiful family. I love that you're doing what you're doing, and you've come from Albany, you know, the same environment. And I'm praying for you. And, you know what I'm saying, keep doing your thing, man. I'm rooting for you. And if there's anything that you need from me moving forward, yo, I'm just an email away.
Okay, thank you very much. I got you locked in now, man.
All right, man. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, peace.
All right, peace.